Hello gamers, it's Friday the 12th of June 2020 and we're still under lockdown, and this time I've cooked up a situation where I hope that the Thracians can simply defend and stand a chance of winning the battle. We shall see. The game I played previously, the engagement we fought just previously, was the same forces. A very similar battlefield, and it had a bit of a feel that the Thracians were sort of doomed, but this time they're going to try and keep their discipline, keep a sensible plan, stay in bad going, and we'll see what happens. So we've got 4 areas of bad going. We have 2 woods, one here, one here. In between them we have the Polybian Romans. And then over on the other side of the battlefield, we've got 2 difficult hills, and we've got, they're occupied by 6 elements in total of Thracian peltasts, which are auxilia. In the center, we have the Thracian commander, who is classed as an element of knights. And then we also have 2 units of Thracian Seloi here, and in the background, we've got the 3 units of Thracian light horse. Going back to the Roman line, I might as well tell you what's there. Usual, same order of battle as before. We have 2 units of Veletes, the Seloi. Then we have, excuse me, we have, just get it, pointer here, okay. We've got 6 units of legionaries. We have 2 units of spears. We have the Roman cavalry, classed as cavalry, and the general on an element that is classed as cavalry. So the Romans should be in a position where they can pretty much go forward and even then go up onto the difficult hills and still fight the peltasts on equal terms, although their movement, basically the only difference is that their movement is far slower than the peltasts, if the peltasts are able to use that to their advantage. There's a problem also, of course, one moment. There's a problem that the Thracians have a ruddy great hole in the middle of their battle line, but the idea is that it makes more sense for them to be able to use their light horse in some sort of flanking maneuver, hopefully, than try to maintain a battle line which is on plain terrain, in which terrain the Thracian foot at least are not going to do very well against the Romans. So the Romans could, I don't know, they might go through the center and attack the camp, for example. We shall see. I've done the setup slightly unusually. I won't go into the tedious details, but as it turns out, I've got the Romans moving first this time, even though in DBA, following the rules strictly, the defender would move first. But I've got the Romans moving first as the, they are the attacker, because this is to test whether the Thracians can defend successfully. But I've also just scribbled down some notes that I'm going to try to put into effect, and that is that the Romans are trying to get as high as possible a what I'm calling the glory level, which is a new thing outside that I've just made up outside of DBA. And the idea that it is going to be calculated as 10 minus the number of turns in the battle. So the fewer the turns, the more glory. And then added to that will also be 10 minus the turn in which the first element was killed by the Romans. So the idea, I've often thought about incorporating that into actual DBA games, or possibly into DBA solo games, to see who can end up with the most glory at the end. Of course, those 2 things I've just read to you, I've made them basically of equal weight, but they probably shouldn't be, but we'll play around with them and see what happens. But one of the main things I want to do is to try to get the force upon whom it is incumbent to make a vigorous attack rather than pussyfooting around, to get them into combat soon and to make them attempt to finish the battle soon, rather than looking at the Thracians up on the hill and just sort of, deciding not to attack them. because if that was the case, then the battle wouldn't go anywhere, obviously. Okay, so having said all that, we will go ahead and take the Roman first bound. Okay, here we are at the end of the first bound. The Romans had 2 pips and the Thracians had 6. The Romans pushed their cavalry over to the extreme flank, anticipating the movements of the Thracian light horse. And then they also wheeled this section of legionaries to the right to be able to get involved in the action over here. And then this central column, because it's free to move on the road, they moved their full move forward. And that's what happened on the Roman side. And then on the Thracian side, we had the column of light horse moved itself around here. This one went first, then the second unit moved over to here. Third unit moved into this position, took a lot of pips. The Seloi went forward to form up a bit of a battle line there. General moved forward slightly, and also one unit of peltasts moved to take up their position on the crest of the hill. And there is no combat. That's the end of the first bound, and there's the whole battlefield. Okay. It's the end of the second bound, and the Romans had 3 pips and the Thracians had 1 pip. In the Roman turn, they have moved forward this section of legionaries here, and they've also what did they do? They've consolidated over here, and I believe, if I remember correctly, this cavalry unit moved back here because it was exposed there. It was in serious danger, so it's come back and joined this group here. And the Thracians, in their turn, not a lot you can do with 1 pip. They wanted to be able to get their light cavalry going down the flank here, but problem was they would only got to about here, and then the Roman cavalry could have interfered with that in their turn. So instead, they've put the Seloi forward to impede the movement of the Roman troops. And they're fully aware of the fact that the Roman line could just sort of move forward and then they would be overlapped there. But at least there's no quick kill type situation. And there's no combat, so that's the end of the bound, end of the turn, the second turn. It's the end of the third turn. The Romans had 1 pip and the Thracians had 3. The Romans used their 1 pip to take this unit of spears. I think they're the Triarii, and they slid sideways here. They couldn't quite make it to move up into the front line, but they're getting ready to deploy there. Then in their turn, the Thracians spent 2 pips, moving the light horse right around the extreme end of the battlefield, and then used 1 more to bring this unit of peltasts. Oh dear, what have they done? They've moved them down off the hill. But they were handy, and I wanted to keep the light horse over here, and I didn't want to get the general involved yet. So we brought them down to put a bit of a threat zone here, to put a threat zone there to stop this unit of spears, the Triarii, from moving into the flank of the slingers. If they want to fight in the next turn, they're going to have to come against the peltasts. So there's no combat, and that is the end of the third turn. Okay, this is the end of the Roman fourth bound. The Roman commander rolled 5 pips and has used them extensively. We've had the cavalry has gone into combat here with the Thracian light horse. These legionaries have charged into the Thracian Seloi. These are charged, these are not, these are legionaries, but they are Triarii armed with the spear, and they've gone into the peltasts. The central group has moved up the road. This group of legionaries here has moved up so as to join with them and become a group. This group of Seloi has burst forth from the wood to be able to conduct operations on the left flank of the Roman main battle line. And finally, the general has moved away from the road and over to the flank here to be able to conduct operations on the flank. All this, of course, has completely ignored the fact that the Thracian light horse has come around the side of the wood here, it being considered that for the moment, even with their rapid movement, all they can really do in the next turn or so is fall upon the Roman camp. But the Roman camp is only worth one victory point, and also light horse, even though there are two of them, are singularly ill-suited to storming a camp. So we're basically choosing to ignore them. Now the problem, of course, may be that they can turn themselves around. When they get back here, they can turn themselves around and then threaten the rear of the Roman forces, and that could get very messy. But with the situation as it is, it's entirely possible that the Romans are going to start causing some serious losses amongst the Thracians very quickly here. And, well, we shall see. So now we'll get on to combat. And there really aren't too many areas of combat that are contingent upon one another. So, because everybody has room to fall back without getting tangled up with anyone else. So I think we'll just start off here. Got cavalry are worth 3 against the light horses 2. Simple as that. Let's see what we get. Okay, so even dice. So it was 3 against 2, so that becomes 7 against 6. So that means that the Romans have won that contest. So in that case, light horse will, not surprisingly, recoil. So we'll go ahead and recoil the light horse. And the cavalry, I don't think cavalry are going to pursue. No, they're not. Okay, and next up, so small victory for the Romans there. Next up, we'll have this unit of legionary blades against the Seloi. So it's 5 against 2. And that looks like a crushing defeat of the Thracians. That's 11 against 4. So they've been substantially more than doubled. But Seloi, let's see, Seloi are destroyed if in close combat with auxiliary bow or Seloi. Otherwise they will flee, so they will flee. So I'll go ahead and turn them around, and then from there they make a normal move, a normal tactical move directly to the rear. And so let's see if they go, there we are, if they go, so it is, if they go straight, if they went straight ahead, they would technically contact the light horse. I don't know if they bend at that point and keep going, but well, how far is that anyway? Let's see here. If they move 3, oh heck, if they move 3, they'd be back up on the hill. Well, in the interest of, I'll have to look that up, but in the interest of speed for the time being, well, not for the time being, for I'm making an on-the-spot adjudication, so we'll go, I'm going to run them back up onto the hill there, like that. Okay. I suppose they would have had to have turned. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Not quite sure if they should have stopped dead when they reached the light horse. I think that's probably what they should have done, not sure. Or if they turn, I know if a unit reaches the edge of the battlefield, it has to turn. One moment. So there we go. This is not a professional video series. This is just me playing a game. So there we go. That's where they ended up. I will look it up anyway. I'll probably look it up and make a correction if it's wrong. Then here we have again 5 against 2. The Romans win again. Not surprisingly, it becomes 7 against 3. So they're also doubled. So they will also have to flee. So they'll turn themselves around and make a full tactical move. So that would take them. Now that's interesting because that would take them I would take them right on top of them, so I'm sure that that's definitely not allowed. So they're going to be sort of there-ish. I would adjudicate. Okay, so I'm going to put them there. Ugh. Something like that. I'm definitely going to call them on the level ground. They're not on the hill. And then the Thracians, let's see if the Thracians are going to, sorry, the Thracians, the Peltasts, to see if they're going to back up. I did make a mistake in the last game. I tended to think of, used to playing with early Imperial Romans, and they are all armed with the pilum, and they're all blades. So they're all worth 5 against foot. Difference here, of course, is that the Triarii are spears, so they're worth 4 against foot. I don't very often use spears, so let's just double check on that. They are indeed. So I have to remember there are 2 types of Roman heavy infantry in play here. So it's going to be 4 against 3 for the Peltasts. See what we got. Romans win the dice again, so that becomes 10 against 7. So I'm sure that means that the Peltasts are in fact recoiled. Let's just check on that. Auxilia, yeah, they're going to be recoiled. So they're just going to go back to there. And do they pursue? I know we found out in the last game that blades pursue. So let's see. No, they don't. They don't pursue. They're spears and they don't pursue. Right. I suppose, wait a minute, that means that these are blade armed. Yeah, they're blades. Sorry, they should have pursued. Yes. Okay. And then, so we had blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, that's it. Those are all the moves. And I will now check to see what was supposed to happen when they met their friends that they couldn't go through because they weren't lined up. Let's see. Okay, I'm not entirely sure if I've done this right, but the point is this: when they're fleeing, if they meet friends they cannot pass through, they have to stop and line up. So that meant that as this unit was moving in this direction, it eventually met with the corner of this unit here. So in lining up with it, my interpretation is that it should put itself in that position there. Then that meant that this unit here would flee and hit the corner of that like that. So they actually have to line up like that. It's all a bit of a mess. Okay. And yeah, that's it. That means that there is a problem now if the Romans, so well, it's a Thracian turn next anyway, but we've now got them are in this curious position of being in between these 2 units here. So I think that's the way you do it. And so now it's on to the Thracian 4th bound. And here's the situation at the end of the 4th turn, the end of the Thracian bound. Thracian had 1 pip. And all things considered, decided to leave pretty much everything in place, although fully expecting the Romans to conduct an attack on the general in the next turn. But they are not in a position to be able to attack the flank, so although he may be overlapped, that's the case there. And also, yeah, so their one move was to take the light horse to bring it around the wood, and they will now become a significant force to be able to threaten the Roman rear. They could, as I said before, they could attack the camp, of course, but they stand very little chance, even with 2 units, of being able to make any progress there. So they'll threaten the Roman rear, I'm sure. And that's the end of the 4th turn. Okay, it's the 5th turn, the end of the Roman bound. The Roman commander rolled 3 pips and went into combat in this position here. Also moved this entire line forward into contact with the Thracian general, and also then took the Roman general from a position roughly here back onto the road. And those are all the moves. So now we have the combats. Okay, we'll start off over here. Roman legionaries as blades, so they are worth 5, and the Seloi are worth 2. It's 5 against 2. Let's see what we get. Makes it a total of 10 against 3. So the Seloi will once again flee. So they're going to turn around. Now this time there are no obstructions in the way. They're going to turn around, and then they're going to make a full normal move to the rear. Well, I think there are no obstructions in the way. We'll soon find out. And let's go to the helicopter view for that one. Let's see here. Well, yeah, it looks like they're going to make contact with their friends, so we'll just go straight back. Their friends, they were in a line like that, so they're going to bonk back like that. And the blades being blades, legionaries being plucky chaps, are going to pursue for half a base depth. Yeah, this unit was not lined up with that unit, so that's where we're going to end up there. And that's what's going on in that combat. Now we come to the next combat, where we have the Thracian general involved himself. Right, so he's overlapped. That's the only tactical consideration. He's got knights, which would be worth 3 against foot. But he's a general, that's 4. But he's pegged down again to 3 because he's overlapped. So he's worth 3. The blades are worth 3 against mounted troops. So it's 3 against 3. The difference is if there's a tie, it's an exciting contest, because if there's a tie, the general is, if I'm not mistaken, the general is destroyed. Yes, they're destroyed by blades. If the general can beat the Romans, then the Romans are destroyed. So, yes, let's see what happens. And it looks like fortune favours the Thracians on this one. It was 3 against 3, and we end up with 8 against 4, which is a doubling. But regardless, the Romans, the blades, are quick killed by knights. So that means it's actually first blood to the Thracians, the plucky Thracians. So that means that we're going to, there we go. We'll remove the Roman unit, pop it over here out of the way, back on the road back to Rome. All roads lead to Rome, of course. And being as they are knights, they are indeed going to pursue. So they're going to be down here now, which is an interesting place for them to be. Okay, so that's the end of the Roman bound of the 5th turn. Okay, Thracian commander had 2 pips, so bold move was made. Let's see here, yeah. So we've had 1 unit of Thracian peltasts has come down out of the off the difficult hill, and has gone down this way and attacked the legionaries. And this unit here has put himself on the uphill section here, so that both these legionary units are in his threat zone. This means that although this unit is overlapping the Thracian unit here, not much I can do about that except going into combat on the down on the plain. Where he is right now, this unit is stopping this unit from closing the door, as the saying goes, swinging around and attacking that unit in the flank next turn or thereabouts. There is a different situation here, an interesting situation, in that the Thracian general, the knights up against the Roman triarii, in that they are spear armed forces, and that means that they have no quick kill on the knights, though the knights do have a quick kill on them, just as they do on their pilum armed friends. The spear itself is worth 1 more point against the enemy mounted troops, so the spears will be worth 4, and the mounted troops will be worth 3 plus 1 for the general is 4 for the combat. So it's 4 against 4, but the Thracians have the quick kill. So if the Romans win the combat, they will not automatically quick kill, tie the combat. They will not automatically quick kill the knights, as would have been the case had they been blades. So we're going to start the combat there first, and we'll see what we get. See if luck is still with the Thracians. Not particularly, no. So we ended up with 4 plus 4 for the Romans is 8, and the Thracians ended up with 7. So that means that the Romans have won that combat. So the knights will be obliged to recoil, and the spears will not follow them up, because they would follow up foot that would not Seloy, but they're not going to follow up knights. No, actually they're spears, so they don't follow up anything at all. No. So that has left the poor old peltasts in a position now where, well, no, they're not overlapped, so that's good, because the Romans didn't follow them up. Or I should say they're not overlapped on both sides. Just one moment. And so the peltasts are 3 against the Roman blades, which are 5, but the peltasts are overlapped, so they're actually worth 2. So it's 5 against 2. Let's see what we get. Okay, that means 6 against 3, which means that the peltasts are doubled, so that doesn't look good. They're auxilia, they're doubled. I'm sure they're going to be destroyed, and indeed they are. So the auxilia are destroyed by the Romans. We'll pop them on the road back to Thrace, and the Romans, being blades and having defeated foot, will pursue. There we go. Half a base width, I believe it is. Is it half a base width, or is it half a base width, or is it? It's half a base width, right? Yeah. So that's like there-ish. Okay. Let's see. Half a base width. That's there. Okay. Right. There we go. Yeah, so that means we've got 1 loss on both sides, and it's noteworthy for my add-on little rules for Roman glory. That means that the turn of the first kill for the Romans was indeed turn 5, so I'll make a note of that. And then, so that is indeed the end of turn 5, both armies having taken their turn. That's the situation as it stands, and we'll press on. Okay, it's the end of the Roman bound of the 6th turn. The Romans had 3 pips, and we've got some interesting events unfolding here. This unit of legionaries charged this unit of Thracian peltasts in the flank, causing them to turn to face. This means that the legionaries have now got the enemy behind them, certainly, but they stand a decent chance of being able to destroy the peltasts. We'll see what happens. More importantly, down here, 2 pips were spent moving these into contact, and then moving these into contact with a flanking overlap here. So, of course, this means that if the general loses the combat because of this, he is going to be destroyed, which is worth 2 victory points. They're being attacked by spears, so it's 4 against 4, but he's overlapped, so he's disadvantaged there. It's 4 against 3. If the spears are beaten by the general, they themselves will be destroyed, and the overlap will recoil. So let's see what happens over here first. Pretty simple contest. So we have 5 for the Romans against 3 for the peltasts. And luck is not on the side of the Romans there. So the Romans end up with 7. The peltasts end up with 7. So that's a tie. And sometimes interesting things happen in ties in DBA 3, which is a new thing. Let's see. fast foot, which is what the auxilia are recoiled by solid foot in close combat. So they are in fact recoiled. I believe in the earlier versions nothing would have happened there. So they're recoiled, so they're going to go back like that, which will in fact, to the chagrin of the Romans, will take them into bad going, because they are now a bit on the hill. I'll sort of push them up the hill a little bit there to make it a bit more obvious. So they are going to pursue them, yeah, because they are blades, and that has taken them into bad going. So that means if the combat continues in the next, if it was fought like that, it would be 3 against 3. So there's that.